My roommate stole $40,000 from my bedroom over 2 years. Hidden camera caught everything. Cash kept disappearing from my dresser. $150, $200 every few weeks. Started documenting, writing down exact amounts and dates. Pattern was clear. Someone was stealing. My roommate, Casey, was the only person with access. Installed a hidden camera, looked like a phone charger, motion activated. 4 days later, it caught her. Walked into my room, straight to my dresser, took 3 bills, left. 47 seconds total. Kept recording for 6 weeks, caught her 14 times. $3,640 on video. Reconstructed my finances. Total theft over 2 years, $38,000. Filed police report. Showed detective the videos. Most documented roommate theft case I've ever seen. Casey arrested. Texted from jail, "How could you do this? I thought we were friends." Trial, played all 14 videos. Her face clearly visible. Verdict, guilty on 5 counts. Sentence, 4 years prison, $38,000 restitution. She's still in prison, paying me $30 per month from prison wages. Will be paying me for 10 to 15 years after release. She stole $38K from her best friend, got 4 years in prison. The ending to this is actually insane. Full story is linked below. I'm $40,000 poorer, and my best friend is facing felony charges, all because I kept cash in my bedroom drawer and trusted the wrong person. The first time I noticed money missing, I thought I'd miscounted. I kept emergency cash in an envelope in my dresser drawer. Always had about $2,000 there. For emergencies. For months when rent was tight. Just security. Counted it one day and came up short. $1,850 instead of $2,000. Figured I'd taken out $150 and forgotten. Brain fog. Happens sometimes. 6 weeks later, counted again. $1,650. Another $200 gone. That didn't make sense. I hadn't touched the emergency fund. Kept it separate from my wallet specifically so I wouldn't accidentally spend it. Started keeping a running log. Every time I counted the cash, I wrote down the exact amount and the date. January 15th, $1,650. February 3rd, $1,450. February 28th, $1,200. Every few weeks, money disappeared, always in amounts between $150 and $300. Never enough to be immediately obvious, but consistent, systematic. Someone was stealing from me. I lived alone except for my roommate, Casey. We'd been friends since college, lived together for 3 years, trusted each other completely, split rent, shared groceries, had keys to each other's rooms for emergencies. But Casey was the only person with access to my room, the only person who could have been stealing the money. I didn't want to believe it, didn't want to accuse my best friend of stealing, so I tested it first. Put exactly $1,000 in the envelope, wrote down the serial numbers of every single bill. Documented it, took photos, then waited. 3 weeks later, counted again. $750. 5 bills were missing. 200s, 250s, 150. I checked my serial number log. 5 specific bills had been taken. Someone was definitely stealing. And unless I was experiencing extremely specific amnesia about taking those exact bills, it had to be Casey. I still didn't confront her. Still wanted to be absolutely certain, because accusing your best friend of stealing is nuclear. Once you say it, the friendship is over whether it's true or not. So I bought a hidden camera. Tiny thing that looked like a phone charger. Put it on my dresser, pointing at the drawer where I kept the cash. Set it to motion-activated recording. Then I waited. 4 days later, the camera caught something. I was at work. Casey was home. She worked from home as a freelance graphic designer. The video showed my bedroom door opening at 2:17 p.m. Casey walked in, looked around like she was checking if anyone was home, then walked straight to my dresser, opened the drawer, pulled out the cash envelope, and took 3 bills, counted them, put them in her pocket, put the envelope back, closed the drawer, left. Total time in my room, 47 seconds. Smooth. Practiced. Like she'd done this hundreds of times. I watched the video 3 times, felt sick every time. My best friend, the person I trusted most in the world, was stealing from me, had been stealing from me for who knows how long. I checked the camera footage for the past 4 days. Casey had been in my room twice. took money both times. Amounts varied, but she always took some. I calculated how long this had been happening based on my log. At least 18 months, maybe longer. If she'd been taking $200 to $300 every few weeks for a year and a half, over $38,000, conservatively, possibly much more. I needed legal advice. Posted on Reddit asking what to do. The responses were unanimous. Document everything, file a police report, get a lawyer, move out. But several people said I should keep recording, build a stronger case, show a pattern over time, make sure Casey couldn't claim it was a one-time thing or a misunderstanding. So I kept the camera running, kept putting money in the drawer, kept catching Casey stealing. Over the next 6 weeks, the camera caught her stealing 14 separate times, amounts ranging from $100 to $500. Total documented theft on camera, $3,240. I also went through my finances, checked every withdrawal, every expense, every time I'd added cash to the emergency fund over the past 2 years, reconstructed how much money should have been in that drawer versus how much was actually there. The shortfall was staggering, $38,000. Over 2 years, Casey had stolen approximately $38,000 in cash from my bedroom. $38,000! My savings, money I'd scraped together working 2 jobs, money for emergencies, for a future down payment, for security. Gone. Stolen by someone I trusted. I finally had enough evidence. Took everything to a leaguer. Showed her the videos, the logs, the financial reconstruction. She watched the videos without expression, then looked up at me. This is theft. Grand theft, possibly multiple counts depending on how the DA charges it. Your roommate is looking at serious prison time. What do I do? File a police report, provide all this evidence, press charges, also file a civil suit to recover the stolen money. We can sue for the full amount plus damages. What if she can't pay? Then we garnish wages, seize assets, whatever it takes. But first, criminal charges. This person stole $38,000 from you over 2 years. That's not a mistake. That's systematic theft. She needs to face consequences. I filed the police report that afternoon, brought all my documentation. The detective was amazed at the amount of evidence I had. Most theft cases are he said, she said. You have video evidence of 14 separate thefts, financial documentation, serial numbers. This is the most documented roommate theft case I've ever seen. When will you arrest her? Soon. We need to verify a few things, but probably within a week. I went home that night and acted normal. Made dinner with Casey like nothing was wrong, watched TV together, chatted about her work projects, all while knowing that in less than a week, police would be arresting her for stealing from me. It felt surreal, like I was living in 2 realities. In one reality, Casey was my best friend and roommate. In the other reality, she was a thief who had been stealing from me for 2 years. That Friday, she did it again. I was supposedly at work. I'd told her I was working late. Instead, I was sitting in my car watching the hidden camera feed on my phone. 2:43 p.m. Casey entered my room, walked to the dresser, opened the drawer, took out the envelope, counted out $400, put it in her pocket, put the envelope back, and left. All captured on video, all timestamped, all documented. I added it to my evidence file. Theft number 15. Total documented amount, $3,640. The police arrested Casey the following Tuesday. I was at work when it happened. They'd coordinated with me, wanted me away from the apartment for safety and to avoid a confrontation. My phone rang at 2:15 p.m. Detective Anderson. We've arrested Casey Morrison. She's being processed now. You can return to your apartment whenever you're ready. We've secured the scene. I left work early, drove home on autopilot, walked into my apartment expecting it to feel different. But it looked the same. Casey's stuff was still there. Her laptop on the dining table, her coffee mug in the sink, like she had just stepped out. Except she was in jail, being charged with multiple counts of grand theft. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. How could you do this to me? I thought we were friends. Casey, from jail, already trying to make me feel guilty. I blocked the number, didn't respond, Didn't owe her an explanation for reporting a crime she committed against me for 2 years. Casey made bail the next day. $50,000 bail. She paid it, which meant she had $50,000 somewhere. Money she'd claimed not to have when rent was due. Money she'd said she didn't have when I'd lent her $500 last year for emergency car repairs. She'd had money, plenty of money. Some of it definitely mine. She came back to the apartment to collect her things. I'd changed the locks per my lawyer's advice, so she had to knock. I opened the door but didn't let her in. "What do you want?" "My stuff. I need my stuff." "Give me a list. I'll box it up and leave it outside." "You can't kick me out. I'm on the lease." "Actually, I can. Domestic theft is grounds for immediate lease termination under our lease agreement. My lawyer already notified the landlord. You have 48 hours to collect your belongings or they'll be considered abandoned." Her face changed. Shock. Anger. Then tears. "Sarah, please, can we talk about this? I made a mistake. I'll pay you back. Just don't press charges." A mistake is taking money once. You stole from me for 2 years. That's not a mistake. That's systematic theft. I was desperate. I had debts. I didn't know what else to do. You could have asked me. We were friends. I would have helped you if you'd asked. I did ask. You said you didn't have money to lend. Because I was saving that money for emergencies, but I would have helped you figure something out. Instead, you decided to steal from me behind my back for 2 years. I always planned to pay you back. When? You're still stealing. The last theft was 6 days ago. After 2 years, you hadn't paid back a penny? You were just going to keep stealing forever? She had no answer for that. Just stood there, crying, trying to make me feel guilty for reporting her crimes. 48 hours, I said. Then your stuff goes to the curb. She collected her things the next day. Showed up with her parents. They gave me dirty looks but didn't say anything. Loaded everything into a U-Haul and left. I changed all my passwords, my banking info, my credit cards, everything. If Casey had been stealing from my bedroom, who knew what else she'd compromised? The criminal case moved forward. The prosecutor was aggressive. He loved cases with video evidence, called it a slam-dunk prosecution. Casey's lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal. She'd plead guilty to 1 count of theft in exchange for probation and restitution. The prosecutor asked my opinion. Do you want to accept that? What's the alternative? We go to trial. With this much evidence, we'll likely get convictions on multiple counts. She's looking at 3 to 5 years in prison, plus full restitution. But trials take time and there's always a risk. I want her to face real consequences. 2 years of systematic theft isn't something you get probation for. Then we reject the plea and go to trial. The trial was scheduled for 7 months out. In the meantime, I filed a civil lawsuit for $75,000, the $38,000 in documented theft, plus damages, legal fees, emotional distress, and punitive damages. Casey's lawyer tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming. The videos alone proved at least $3,640 in theft. My financial reconstruction showed the full $38,000. The civil case settled before the criminal trial. Casey agreed to a judgment of $50,000. She didn't have the money, but the judgment would follow her forever. Wage garnishment, asset seizure, she'd be paying me back for years. The criminal trial was almost anticlimactic. The prosecution played the videos, 14 separate instances of Casey entering my room and taking money, her face clearly visible, timestamps showing a pattern over 6 weeks. My testimony was straightforward. Explain the missing money, the investigation, the hidden camera, the documentation. Casey's lawyer tried to argue diminished capacity, claimed she had shopping addiction and couldn't control her impulses. The prosecutor destroyed that defense. Ms. Morrison didn't impulsively take money. She systematically entered her roommate's room when she knew she was alone. She took varying amounts to avoid detection. This is not impulse. That's calculated theft. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, came back with guilty verdicts on all counts. 5 counts of grand theft. The prosecutor had charged her separately for the 5 largest documented thefts on camera. Sentencing came 6 weeks later. I submitted a victim impact statement. Casey Morrison was my best friend. I trusted her completely. We lived together for 3 years. I never suspected she was stealing from me because I believed friends didn't betray each other like that. But Casey stole from me systematically for 2 years. She took $38,000 of my savings, money I'd worked 2 jobs to save, money that was supposed to be for emergencies in my future. And she showed no remorse. When confronted, she tried to make excuses, claimed she always planned to pay me back, even though she never stopped stealing, even though the last theft was days before her arrest. Casey didn't just steal money. She stole my sense of security, my ability to trust people, my peace of mind in my own home. I'm asking for prison time. Not because I'm vindictive, but because Casey needs to understand that systematic theft has serious consequences, that you can't betray your best friend for 2 years and get away with probation. The judge reviewed the case. The video evidence, the systematic nature of the theft, Casey's lack of genuine remorse. Ms. Morrison, you committed a breach of trust that goes beyond simple theft. You lived with the victim. You were friends. You had access to her home and her room because she trusted you, and you exploited that trust to steal from her for 2 years. The court sentences you to 4 years in state prison. You will also pay full restitution of $38,000 to cover the documented theft. This sentence is designed to reflect both the seriousness of your crime and the extended period over which you committed it. 4 years. Casey was 29, would be 33 when she got out. Her 20s essentially over, her record permanently marked, her career as a freelance graphic designer likely destroyed. All because she decided stealing from her best friend was easier than getting a regular job or asking for help.